Is this the end of Manchester City? Is it the end of an era? Pep Guardiola's dominance? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss all of what happened to Manchester City recently. And first, we are going to start with their recent performances and just poor results in general. I think it's one win in 11 games for them. And the most recent was, of course, the Manchester derby at the Etihad. They lost 2-1 after leading 1-0 in the 88th minute. What's that? A couple of minutes left and you win the game. And, you know, Manchester City have had some poor results. They've had 2-2 with Crystal Palace. They lost 2-0 against Liverpool. I wouldn't say that was a poor result. Liverpool have been on good form. You know, the Champions League results as well against Sporting, the one against Juventus. It's actually put them on the brink of potentially being eliminated out of the Champions League. So it is a real slump of form. It is a real unfortunate for them that they've slumped that bad. But looking at the most recent result, the Manchester United game, the Manchester derby at Etihad, you know, you look at the way they played, they somehow managed to get into the lead via deflection, Guardiola's goal. You know, Man United didn't play amazing football. They didn't. Manchester City, for sure, compared to what they used to be, definitely don't play, you know, that fantastic flowing football, the possession type football we see the last couple of seasons. You know, they've won the league title, you know, 4 in a row. So, you know, there is a good team there. For me, there's a severe lack of confidence in the team. I think a lack of personality. I don't think any of the players at Manchester City right now are stepping up to say, like, you know, whereas if I looked at even Man United, I'd see Bruno Fernandes, you know, him being the one to step up. I look at Liverpool, I see Virgil van Dijk the one to step up. I look at Arsenal, I see, you know, there's potentially Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard that will step up. But for Manchester City, I don't see any of that. I feel their biggest step-up player in Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winner, of course, obviously injured. I don't think it's all down to Rodri's injury. I know there's been a lot of things, you know, discussing Rodri's injury and how it's affected the team and this, that and the other. But I think even Rodri in this team right now, they're still going on that run of poor form. They really are. Again, you know, now we'll switch over to them tactics. You know, there's been a lot of rotation at Manchester City. A lot of it. You know, Rico Lewis has been tried in midfield. I don't think for Manchester City that worked. I don't think he worked in that midfield, to be really honest. I don't think it was the right call from Guardiola. I just think he's got to a stage where, you know, this horrid run is very deep now. It's like 11, 12 games in. Nothing's really changed. They had that one win against Forest, didn't they? And then everything else has just been, you know, not great. So, but, you know, we look at the way he's tweaked things. We've seen that he's played midfielders at centre-back. He's played defenders in midfield. He's tried pretty much most things to try and fix this issue, but every time he changes it, it seems, for me, it just makes the situation worse. You know, I do feel that tactically they're a much more panicked team now. You used to lose the ball to City. City used to be great on the ball. They used to control the ball. You know, 90+% completion rate. So comfortable on the ball. Whereas now, you're seeing defenders hit it long. You know, talk about one particular defender who I think has been in horrendous form for Manchester City, Kyle Walker. He's been horrendous form, you know. I think for him, I think the time has come where he doesn't start for Manchester City now. You know, he is aging anyway, but the decision making isn't brilliant. You know, his acting, especially when it's against Højlund sort of head to head, and then he goes down so many theatrics. It is crazy. Like, it shouldn't even happen, to be really honest with you. You know, But tactically, they have had to change things, and I don't think it's worked. Pep Guardiola has, always been said, he's a top manager. He's won a lot of titles, etc., etc. But think of the squad he inherited. He inherited Barcelona Barcelona had an amazing team anyway. They had money as well. Bayern Munich had an amazing team. Manchester City had a great team as well, and he's had loads of money to spend there. He's not really been tested at a club without money, without the resources yet. But what does this mean for the future of Pep Guardiola? Of course, he did sign that contract. He did sign a contract. He signed his commitment and things like this. There's obviously other complications of the 130 charges. Now they found 15 extra charges within the court case, is what's been reported. That's a lot of charges, and one or two of them are, at least are going to be true, at least, for sure, because they don't turn over. Their turnover in world football isn't bigger than anyone else's. I think that's a fib. I think that's a lie. So to me, someone's fiddling with the accounts back. So that's just my opinion. But, what does it mean for Manchester City's dominance? I think the dominance era is starting to fade. I think that's it. I think they've won 4. And we've really seen a downturn this year. Massive downturn. They're pretty much fighting for a 4th spot, for a top 4 spot this season. And I think the way they're playing, if they was to maybe scrape it, 1 or 2 additions in January could help them do that. Then they have to rebuild next summer. Obviously, depending on what happens with all the cases and stuff like this. So February, March time, we should know the result of that. So that's going to be an intriguing one. If it was to go to the extreme, and they were to be kicked out of the Premier League, it'd make things very interesting in the transfer market, because I can't see people like Haaland, people like De Bruyne, people like Ruben Dias, Edison. I don't see them staying at the club if they got to play a lower league. A lower league. I don't see how they'll stay. So it's an interesting one. But the future of Manchester City right now, for me, it looks like an end of an era. It really does. I don't want to talk prematurely, but it does look like an end of an era. Every game they go in, you used to think, oh, they've won that game, they've won that game, they've won that game. But now you're thinking, they might lose this one. Oh, they're going to lose this one. Oh, they might draw this one. You're not contemplating, thinking, oh, they've won. A little bit like Celtic in the Scottish Premiership. Where they go into most games and you're like, oh, they've won, don't worry, they've won. It's not like that with City now. It seems to little bit, be off a little bit. But tell me, guys, what you think? What happens to Manchester City from now in the coming months towards May? Will they still get the top 4, or will they still challenge for the title? Will it all turn round? Let me know, guys, and do subscribe. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.